Hello, good people of the internet. Welcome to The Unlearning Playground, an everyday life podcast by Chetan Narang. I wish to dedicate this episode to a fallacy that underlies so much of the lives we live that we hardly even notice it. For the purpose of putting forward the idea, I'm calling it the separation fallacy. There are various ways to talk about it, none of them perfect, but a lot of them good enough to get the point across. So let me try one of them. I was born in the year 1992, and it's very commonplace for me to say that I came into this world in 1992. And if we were having a conversation and I said so, I think no one would even bat an eye and we would just go on with our lives. But if we were to take just a little backseat and have a look at it clearly, observe what I just said, we would be surprised at how incorrect that statement really is. I mean, look at it. I just said that I came into this world in 1992. Well, from where did I come into this world? The statement almost implies as if I existed before in some place outside this world and 1992 was the year I was pushed into this one. Of course, that isn't true. So, what then is the right way to say it? The philosopher Alan Watts used to say that you do not come into this world, you come out of it, like an apple on an apple tree. And I do believe that that is the right way of saying it. We do not come into this world, we come out of it. That is how connected to the world we are. That is how unseparated from it we are. We are one with it. Let me propose a train of thought to get this point across slightly better. I call this the interconnectedness thought train. Let's see. The next time you see an infant, realize that just a few moments ago, that infant was actually a part of its mother. It was connected to its mother in the most intimate way possible. Obvious, right? Yeah. Now, proceed to realize that in exactly the same manner, just a few moments ago, especially on the cosmic scale, just a few moments ago, the mother was connected to her mother in the same most intimate way possible, right? And then, if you must, take this train of thought all the way back to the very beginning, and realize that all of us, each and every one of us, each and everything around us is connected, and again in the same most intimate way possible. This interconnectedness is the point I'm trying to make here. Our separation as individual beings is true, but only from one perspective, and a limited one at that. Another perspective, which is what I'm trying to put forward here, is that all of us are connected, as connected as we could be. We just don't realize it. Picture this. You are standing in front of an ocean and you can see waves forming, rising all the way to their max and then falling down and merging back into the ocean. This visual is almost exactly the correct analogy to what I'm trying to share here. From the point of view of every single wave, it is a separate entity and has its own existence, no matter how short. But from your point of view, the point of view of an observer who's watching the dance happen from the outside, there is only the ocean, and the waves are just symptoms of the ocean. They are not separate from the ocean. They never were. So, in one manner of speaking, this is what the Buddhists meant when they said, be one with everything. You already are. You just don't see it. And in the same way, this is what the Hindus meant when they said Tattvam Asi, or you are it, or Aham Brahmasmi, or I am Brahma. You see, most of us haven't been exposed to this perspective of the world ever, because by default, we live in our heads as a separate me, a separate I. The only connectedness we ever feel with others is with people in our immediate surroundings, and that too, on most occasions, till the time it benefits us in any way, which eventually only serves the purpose of strengthening the illusion of the separation. So then, is what I'm talking about merely a romantic idea? A whimsy which is nothing but impractical? Of course not. But I can totally understand if you're feeling this way right now, because that is where I was when I first came across this idea. But you see, things like these, or rather, truths like these, hit us at the very core of what we think we know about the world and how we go about living our lives. And that is why they're usually treated this way. We call them impractical, we call them useless, and instead of really understanding them, we try to find ways around them to keep continuing with the same old stories in our heads, without really letting these truths take hold of us, of our reality. And this is exactly why almost all religious people, I say religious as in quote unquote religious people, almost always know the words written in their sacred books by heart. They would know how to celebrate all the festivals and perform all the rituals. But almost none of them really embody those words and the rituals and the messages behind those festivals in their everyday lives. Because nobody ever really spent the time to understand the depths of these things, let alone teach them to others. And now we are at a point where all of it is basically just incomplete people teaching incomplete misinterpretations of incomplete words to other incomplete people. Someone really needs to break this chain. The Buddha was enlightened, they say. And what does enlightenment mean? They say it's when you become one with God, or rather one with everything. And I hope that rings a bell with you now. One man whose work I really admire and respect, and whose books I am very fond of and I recommend everyone to read, is Jiddu Krishnamurti, or JK as people fondly refer to him as. I have always personally called him Uncle JK because I always felt like he was the wise old uncle I never had. Anyway, I am not quite sure, but I think Uncle JK has been quoted to have said something like, "No one listened to the Buddha, and that is why we have Buddhism." Whoever said this, whether JK or not, couldn't have been more right. And yeah, of course, Buddha and Buddhism are just placeholders here in this sentence. This is true for a host of other religions and belief systems we hold. We follow our favorite organized religions not because we well and truly understand them, but because we identify with them. They've become a part of our identity, a part of our separate I. Now then, back to what we were talking about. I do not want your key takeaway from this episode to be how you should tell people your year of birth. I mean, the semantics are none of my concern, and neither should they be yours. What I want you to take away from this episode is to realize that the separation we live under is only one way of looking at the world. And that when you look at this perspective with an objective eye, you realize that it leads to so many destructive actions that one can do nothing but just stare at it all in amazement. If the idea of separation takes root in one's psyche, which is the default for us, we tend to look at life with the lens of one-upping it. The world is suddenly an alien world which has to be conquered. My surroundings, everyone around me, everything around me has to be put under my command, or else I lose. And that makes us do all sorts of things in all sorts of manners which would make any objective observer come around and say, "Why are you fighting it so much, boy? Relax." And this relaxation is a natural side effect of absorbing and embodying the truth that I just talked about in this episode. Well, I guess that's it for this episode for now. If you think it's been a bit too much too soon or too useless too soon, please give it a listen again whenever you can. I'm sure you'll feel differently if you give it an objective ear. The chief idea covered here is one of the main unlearnings I'm trying to share via this show. And of course, how it manifests in each of our specific lives would always be tailored to our own specific situations, which is the beauty of it really. More on that in the future episodes though. Until then, peace out. Thank you for spending these past few minutes with me here. If what you just heard resonated with you, make sure you share it with others in your community too, to help spread the word far and wide. Also, a reminder that all of these episodes are also available on YouTube in the form of videos with embedded subtitles. So if you're one of those people who prefer listening and reading instead of only listening, you know where to go. I'll add the link to the YouTube channel in the description of this episode. Do check it out, like, share, and subscribe. And if you're listening to this on YouTube already, the like, share, and subscribe part is for you too. Until next time, peace out.